Hello and welcome back to Java and Joy. I am very excited to talk to you guys about goal setting this week. I mean, it is all the rage right now. And I am pretty sure that there's a lot of you who are either A, already struggling with their 2025 resolutions, or you've given up completely. How many of you fit in that category? Don't worry, I won't judge you. Here's my advice that I give to a lot of my clients. As a life coach, I always want to set up people to succeed. New Year's resolutions are even harder to follow through with than setting goals any other time of the year. That's why so many people struggle. Here's why. When you start the new year, you are coming out of a very hectic season. Basically, from Halloween on, you're not eating as well. You're going to all kinds of events. You're wearing yourself down. You're shopping, you're planning, you're hosting, you're cooking, you're cleaning. And it's no wonder January 1st, you're exhausted. Then to top it all off, if you're, anyone living in the majority of the USA, it's not the best weather time of the year. It gets light out later, dark out earlier, so your daylight time is very short. So inevitably, you're going to be more tired, more drained. You're not getting the same vitamin D. You're not getting that refreshing daylight like you are used to. So when you're trying to add new goals, new activities that require newfound energy, it's really hard to find it in January. Biologically and habitually, January is meant to recoup, recharge, hibernate. It's supposed to be a slower time to recover from the madness of the holidays. So setting new goals is very counterintuitive. It can be done. It sure can. And there are people out there who have amazing energy all the time. They have amazing willpower. And they're just better at doing things. But for most of us, quote unquote, normal people, struggle. We don't have just abundance of energy. We don't have a great amount of willpower on a regular basis, let alone in January. Keep in mind as well, you've probably not eaten well through the holidays, and now your body is in detox. So it's trying to process a bunch of sugar and sodium and just carbs. All the extra water weight is there. So you're physically more tired anyway. Your body is in overdrive, trying to purge all the cookies and turkey and Halloween candy, all the things that we have enjoyed over the last few months, hopefully guilt-free. But there are consequences to splurging. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but you should be aware of what's happening in your body, psychologically, physiologically, all the things, right? In the month of January. Now, I'm not saying don't set goals in January, but I'm telling you that you're gonna need some extra tools, and it does help to understand why you are struggling. And the things I'm gonna go over with you today, these are tools that aren't just for January goals. Anytime you're setting goals, there are always obstacles, speed bumps, hurdles, life gets in the way, as we know. So these are tools you can use anytime. But hopefully, there's at least one person that's either watching or listening to this who is struggling with that New Year's resolution, and I can help you, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna start off with is we're gonna talk about instant gratification. We live in a time where everything is at our fingertips. If we want something, we click a button. It's delivered to our door very shortly later. I mean, I can have food here in minutes. I can get rid of boredom in seconds by pulling out my phone and scrolling on social media. I will find something to entertain me, and likely a lot of things that will send me down a rabbit hole, and I will be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. We've all been there. But what is happening in this culture with all the technology and all the conveniences is we have gotten used to instant gratification. And we kind of think everything is supposed to work this way. It is not. Creating new habits is not instant. Never ever has it been or will it be. Habits take time to create. There's actually studies that previously said it was 21 days to form a new habit. Now they're saying 8 weeks. I don't know. I'm gonna just say a month. We're gonna meet in the middle here somewhere. But it takes time. I don't think there's one set number for everybody. I think it depends on who you are, how hard the new habit is, or how ambitious the goal is, right? So we have to untrain ourselves to think that we're going to create this new habit overnight. In order to retrain your mind, you have to practice. You have to basically rewire it. And it's not easy. It's not easy. So immediately when you set a goal, you have to agree to yourself and come to the realization that this is probably not going to happen quickly. Let's start with weight loss. It took time to gain the weight. It'll probably take at least that long to lose it, at least to do it in a healthy way. Maybe that weight loss is adding in fitness. Maybe it's nutrition changes. Maybe it's both. But regardless of what you are implementing, it's going to take time. So you have to be real with yourself and honest with yourself right off the bat. Always remind yourself it's a marathon, not a sprint. Of course, I'm a runner, so that analogy comes very natural to me. But whatever you have to do to remind yourself that things take time, right off the bat, do that. Write it down, put it on a sign on your fridge, and make it your screensaver, your phone background, whatever you have to do. But just know, instant gratification is not your friend, okay? So I don't know if we consider that a tool, but it's a good reminder. The first actual tool I'm going to give you is time blocking. Time blocking can literally change your life. No matter what your goal is, whatever it is you're trying to do, time blocking is an amazing asset. Time blocking is where you literally write down and block out times of the day where you're going to work on your goal. It doesn't matter. It could be a professional goal, a health and wellness goal. It could be to practice self-care more often. Maybe you've set a goal that you want to get your house organized. Okay? Maybe with that time blocking, you're setting aside when you're going to clean what each day. Maybe on Monday, you only have time to clean that dreaded junk drawer that we all have that we don't know what all is in there and probably don't want to. Or maybe you have a little more time to clean out a closet. Maybe it's a drawer. Maybe it's cleaning all the ceiling fans, whatever. But what time blocking does is you sit down with your planner or your calendar, and you want this in an hourly format. And first you're gonna plug in all the things that are must-dos. Like A, your job. You gotta chunk that out first. You gotta plug in sleep, eating, taking care of the kids, whether there's an appointment to take them to, pick them up from daycare, whatever it is. Then you have your normal housekeeping, grocery store, running errands, going to your own appointments. Those get plugged in first. Then you look at that day and you look for spaces in that calendar day where nothing is plugged in yet. And that's where you plug in your goal time, your me time, whatever it is that you're working on implementing. Now, you may have to be a little more strategic if you are scheduling things that have to be done at certain times. For example, a workout. If you know that you cannot work out in the morning, then you need to immediately time block time either directly after work or before bed or whatever time works for you for those workouts. So if you're someone who needs structure and routine in that way, you want to make sure you plug those things in ahead of time. But if you're someone who is more flexible or your goal is more flexible, like cleaning your home, you can just find what works for the days. And I suggest that you do this at the beginning of every week. You sit down and you do your whole calendar for the week. That way your mind is clear, you have a plan, you wake up Monday morning and you are ready to go. You're not making decisions last minute when you're tired, when you're hungry, when you can't remember what the goal even was or why you were doing it, which we'll get to that as well. But plan your weeks ahead and time block. Another part of doing this, when you write things down, it's no longer just a dream. It's an actual goal. You can dream about the things you want all the time, but if you don't tangibly write it down and plan it into your life, it's not a goal, it's just a dream. It's just a want. So writing things down is so important. It kind of makes you be more deliberate with your time and really take it seriously. So take that time every week and time block. That's your first tool. The second tool, remember to break your goals down. Your goal can't be, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds the first week. That's not a good thing to do. You're gonna set up yourself to fail. Maybe it's a professional goal. Don't make it a goal to find a new job by the end of the week. You gotta break these down, make them less overwhelming, more manageable, and that way you get small wins along the way, which is going to motivate you. Okay? And here's some examples. If you're wanting to lose 50 pounds, maybe that's 2 pounds a week. If you're wanting to get a new job, maybe the first week is brush up your resume. Probably needs a refresh. Think about what your skills are. What have you learned or done or been a part of since the last time you did your resume? All those things need to be done. So that's like week 1 goal. Next would be, okay, this week I'm gonna apply to 3 positions. The following week, 3 positions. And maybe during one of those weeks, a secondary goal is brush up on my interview skills. I'm sure there's YouTube videos and tutorials out there to help you with that. So no matter what your goals are, break them down into little miniature tasks. Here's another one for weight loss. Maybe the first week you only make changes to your diet and maybe it's only a quarter of the changes you want to make. Maybe you don't go right in and change breakfast, lunch, dinner, and your snacks. Maybe it's just breakfast or breakfast and lunch. Then the next week, add in dinner. If it's a fitness goal, maybe it's not, this week I'm going to go to the gym 5 times for an hour. Maybe it's 2 times for 20 minutes. Break it down so that it is not so much of a shock to the system. Let the body marinate a little bit. Let the mind take it in slowly. Baby steps are going to make you more successful. Is it going to take longer? Perhaps. But is it going to last? It's much more likely to be a yes if you do it slowly and you do it the right way. You do it methodically, with purpose, with intention, and with a well-planned strategy. Okay? Next one, reward systems. It is so good to celebrate your wins. We often forget to celebrate wins. We think wins is when we hit the full goal. I lost the 50 pounds. I got the new job. But you're missing the journey. You're missing all the fun and joy along the way. For example, you lose the first pound. That should be celebrated. You went to the gym the first time. That should be celebrated. You landed that first interview. That should be celebrated. Every single thing you accomplish, all those steps should be celebrated. Now you're probably saying, well, how do I celebrate that? This is where you have to really hone in on what brings you joy, what motivates you. So think of it as, what are your favorite self-care activities? And if you didn't watch last week's episode or listen to, depending if you're on podcasts or YouTube, go back, check that out, because it's all about self-care. Or check out my show notes. There's a link to my free self-care guide there with tons of ideas for self-care. But you want to just have a good handful of them that are things you look forward to and you like. Maybe it's binge watching a television show. Maybe it's taking extra time for yourself, like a long bath. If you have the means, maybe you reward yourself with things like a massage or getting your nails done or having an all to yourself day, go shopping. You don't want it to always be anything that you have to spend money on, okay? If you have the means, great. If you don't, be realistic with that and set up reward systems that don't cost anything. Maybe it's, okay, I went to the gym today, so now I get to read a chapter of my favorite book or watch an episode of my favorite TV show. Take a bath undisturbed. All those things are great. They're things you can look forward to, and they are a reward system. Yes, watching your favorite TV show is self-care. It is a reward. It is a luxury, and it should be treated as such. For anyone who says, I don't have time to, this is me, speaking to my coaching clients. I don't have time to work out. I always ask, did you watch TV this week? Did you listen to a podcast this week? Did you read? You had time for those things because those are priorities for you. Those should be the rewards for you doing the things that get you to the goals that you are trying to work towards. So reframe your mind into what a reward system means. Another struggle I know, especially people who are doing like fitness or nutrition goals, they want to reward themselves with like a hot fudge sundae because they lost a pound. That is counterproductive. I'm not saying don't ever let yourself have those things, but don't make the reward something that you're trying to, moderate. Change that reward, do something else. But it is important to have reward systems, and it is important to celebrate your wins, okay? All right, next tool. This one's important. You gotta be flexible. Life happens. It will always happen. It will never stop happening. There will be hurdles. There will be obstacles. There's no way around it. It's going to happen. Accept it and be ready to pivot. It's one of my favorite words. That means when you hit a hurdle, it doesn't mean you stop and then start over later. How many of you have been doing well on a new plan? You get to Thursday, there was a special event, something happened, you were tired, you forgot to bring your lunch, you go off the rails, and because you did that, you stay off the rails. And you're like, oh, I'll start over Monday. And then heavens knows what the next Monday will actually be where you get started again. But this all or nothing mindset is toxic. You have to change that mindset. Just because you have a setback or a hurdle does not mean you stop. You go, you pick yourself back up, dust it off, and move on. Start back fresh the very next second. Not the next day, not the next week. You start back immediately. And always remember to ask yourself, what can I do? So for example, you had a day, it got away from you, you didn't make it to the gym. But what can you do? Can you go walk around your living room for 15 minutes? Go do some sit-ups or crunches or planks or burpees or something next to your bed? What can you do? It does not have to be all or nothing. As a runner, my intentions a lot of the time is to run 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 miles. But maybe life happened and I don't have time to go run 6 miles. Does that mean I run 0? Absolutely not. Because you know what? 1 mile is more than 0 miles. 5 minutes of crunches is less than 0 minutes, or is more than 0 minutes, sorry, at the gym. It does not have to be all or nothing. Always remember, ask yourself, what can I do? Write it down. Write that down, and every time you feel yourself slipping, or you just did something you're not supposed to do, or you forgot to do what you're supposed to do, whatever, reframe the mind and say, that's okay. Wipe that slate clean. What can I do? And do not do the dreaded, I'll start again next week. Or say to yourself, I already failed, I'm gonna just start over. Let me tell you this, and if nothing else sets in for you, let this be it. You only fail if you quit. Let me say it again for the people in the back. You only fail if you quit. As long as you keep going, you are making forward progress. Something is always more than none. So you are not a failure unless you quit. If you give up on yourself, you give up on those goals, that's when you fail. As long as you continue to pick yourself back up, keep marching, then you haven't failed. Period, point blank, end of story. So get ready to be flexible and give yourself grace and be ready to say, what can I do? Let that sink in. Next tool, motivation. Why do you want to do what you're trying to do? What is your why? Ask yourself, why? Why do I want this goal? What is it that I'm trying to improve on or change or complete at this time? And why? And write it down. This piece of paper is going to be instrumental in your success. Because every time you start to slip and things get hard, you're going to forget why you started this at all. Because your brain's going to be foggy, you're going to be tired, overwhelmed, exhausted, you're going to want to quit, but you got to have that why. Why are you doing it? Why is it important to you? So write it down in at least one place. 100's better. I'm a post-it note queen. You will always hear from me. Have Post-it notes all over your house, your office, your car, everywhere you need for constant reminders. Because you're going to need those reminders when your motivation is lacking, and it will. Mark my words. And all of these Post-it notes and all of these reminders are actually leading into the other tool I'm going to give you, which is accountability. You gotta hold yourself accountable. There's a reason why 90% of the people that are my clients that I coach are here or work with me for accountability. I do more accountability coaching than any kind of life coaching, even though I have a lot of certifications to work in different areas. Accountability is a big one because you are stronger together. You are stronger with a support system. Does everyone need a coach? No. Is it usually better to have one? Yes. I will tell you that you are 95% more likely to hit your goals if you have a coach. It's just statistics. Little sciencey facts for you there. But you can find accountability in other ways. First of all, not everybody grooves with a coach. Not everyone can afford a coach, but there are still ways to hold yourself accountable. And when I coach people, my job is to train them to eventually hold themselves accountable so they don't have to always come to me for the rest of their life, right? Here are some things you can do to hold yourself accountable. 1, get a partner. Find someone who has similar goals to yours and do weekly check-ins with each other. Zoom call, it could be a regular phone call, it could be in-person meetings, doesn't matter. Have an accountability partner. You're stronger together. It could be an accountability group. If you got enough people working towards the same or similar goals, get a group. Have a weekly call together and talk about what your goals were for the week, how it went, what worked well, what didn't. Cheer each other on, lift each other up, celebrate your wins together, all the things, okay? Another thing you can use to stay on track is setting alarms and calendar reminders. These are so beneficial. Most of us are out of sight, out of mind creatures. Things have to be like in our face for us to remember to do them. And just putting something on a calendar doesn't mean you're going to check your calendar that day. You may not even open your calendar if it's just an app. Maybe your calendar's on your desk and you didn't go to work that day, or you didn't see that calendar, or you had a stack of papers on top of it blocking most of the information. Maybe you're messy like me. So you need things that are basically gonna like tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, hello. Remember that thing you're supposed to do? Get on it. So setting alarms on your phone for whatever time of day that you're, planning these things, pop-up calendars that literally bing and bong and do all the noises, vibrate your phone, whatever, to remind you so you cannot forget. Let the technology hold you accountable. It's there. You're paying for it. We use it for everything else. We might as well use it for good, to our advantage. We spend so much time on technology, let's get some good out of it. So accountability is definitely a very important thing to remember. All right, let's recap. And remember, you can always go back and listen or watch this as many times as you want. But if you want to write down what the tools are, have it that too. But just remember, instant gratification, untrain that. Practice time blocking, get a reward system, break down your goals into smaller, tangible steps. Be flexible. Find your motivation. What is your why? Find your why. And last, accountability. Get accountable. If you can get a hold of all those tools and use them, you're so much more likely to hit those goals that you really, truly want, that you want deep down inside, but you just can't figure out why you can't execute. We're great at planning. We are not great at executing. And it's because we don't have the tools that we need in our tool belt. And I just gave them to you. So use them, okay? All right, that's this week's episode. Make sure you are liking and subscribing if you're on YouTube. Make sure you have subscribed to my podcast. And definitely go sign up for my Java Enjoy Club. You're gonna get an extra boneless monthly episode. You get access to my online community where I do challenges and giveaways and all kinds of fun surprises. You also get a weekly newsletter with more free coaching tips from me. So go get signed up. All the information is in the description in both the podcast and on YouTube. My free self-care workbook, words are hard today. It's all there for you. So use all those resources and tools. As always, feel free to reach out to me anytime. Questions, concerns, anything you need, I am here for you. You guys have an amazing week. We'll see you next time. As always, go find your joy.